Well, Chris Thompson, welcome back to the show.
Thanks.
Life, Death, and the Law.
Yeah.
I know it's the highlight of your month.
It is.
It
is. I look forward to it every month. This is the Christmas edition, though. We could call it that, right?
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
We're starting early.
Well, next time I see you, it'll be the new year.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, so before we started, we were talking about Facebook purchases.
Yeah.
And I've got this fetish recently that I'm on Facebook Marketplace all the time because I'm trying to wean myself off of social media.
Okay.
I waste a lot of time just, what is that called? Dead scrolling.
Doom scrolling.
Doom scrolling.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, I can't just quit cold turkey. So I'll limit it. I'll take off Instagram. I'll take off YouTube little shorts. And I'm only and the Facebook Reels. I mean, those are great too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just doing Facebook Marketplace. But the problem is, it's super expensive because I end up buying the stuff.
Sure.
And so I've got a ton of these little buys, and I've started buying scooters, mopeds, I guess, and Yamaha Vino and Yamaha Zuma has been my brand of choice lately. So
Okay. So if there's one out there.
if it's a good deal, I'm all over it.
Okay.
And I've gone from, driving up to Phoenix and buying them from the original owner with it in pristine condition, only 400 miles on it. Their title was crisp as the day that they got it, to sending my brother-in-law to San Diego and going, the Skid Row version of San Diego and buying it from a homeless person.
Really?
Yeah, with the title written up on a cardboard piece of cardboard and handing it over. And he was not appreciative of that. I saw, on Marketplace, you don't really know the background that well of, who you're buying from. You could look into it a little bit more. But I saw this, it was a really good deal, and I'm like, hey, go down and buy this before, somebody else snatches it up. So he goes down, they line up a meeting place, and it's in the parking lot of the stadium, of the Charger Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'm here in the parking lot. He calls me up. He's like, there's nobody here. I mean, it's wide open.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, the guy's supposed to meet you there. He chose the spot. And he's like, hold on a second. And you see this guy comes barreling out of the bushes on this moped and pulls up to him in the truck. And he's like, okay, hold on. Somebody just pulled up to me, and he's like, he's definitely homeless. So I'm like, well, what color is the moped? He's like, yellow. I'm like, that's it. And I'm like, just buy it. So he buys it, and anyway, it was an interesting experience. He's like, do you live around here? Talking to the individual, and he's like, yeah. He's like, well, where? Because there's no houses around there.
Yeah.
And he's like, there. Points to the bushes. Okay, all right. And so I got the moped home, and it had been rigged up so there was a cigarette lighter that was rigged up to it, and
Like
USB
hot-wired rigged
chargers.
up?
Huh?
Like hot wired rigged up?
Yeah. And
Okay.
so I spent the weekend pulling out all the wiring that he had put in it to basically, he had used this thing, the compartment under the seat is quite roomy. So there was a lot of storage under there, and I could see
Okay.
that it had been quite utilized.
All right.
And you could probably plug into that cigarette lighter and warm up coffee and stuff like that. They have all those little things for it.
Travel gadgets.
Yeah. So anyway, it had been used, but I got that. So I got 7 of them now. I got to stop.
You have 7 scooters?
Yeah.
How many kids do you have?
That can ride a scooter
No, just
total at home.
have you
3.
outnumbered? Okay.
Well, 4 for right now for the holidays, but 3
Okay.
during school.
So everyone has their scooter. You can do
Well,
a
they're
parade.
not-
Parade of scooters.
Yeah, the kids aren't really allowed to ride the scooters.
These are your scooters.
Yeah,
Don't touch dad's scooters.
they can ride them with me sometimes.
Wow. I think, Adam, Shawn has some undiagnosed things going on.
Mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Read that book again.
I'm right there with you.
The
I'm right there with
Minosaurus.
you. I have things just to have them,
Uh-huh.
and it drives my wife
Like what?
nuts. Like
Cookware.
cookware. I just put together. I have to install them 2 more wall racks to hold additional cookware.
Oh, okay.
So we have a lot of cookware.
Because you need it at your disposal, or because I'm one that I wanted not to see. I don't want to see it till I need it.
Yeah, this is kind of in a pantry area, so we don't really see it. Out in our actual kitchen, we just have the daily use stuff.
Gotcha.
And then we have a pantry, and then I built a room addition and included in there space for more kitchen stuff, gadgets and things. And I have the same problem with kitchen tools. I think they're fascinating. They're awesome. There's usually a history with them. There's a reason it's shaped the way it is. There's things you cook in this type of thing. And, so my wife and I get into it from time to time about I have too much. But because there's certain pans and dishes I'll use once a year because it's for one dish, and then it goes up on the shelf and we don't touch it again, for a year. But it's large and takes up space and real estate. And, but I don't want to rebuy it every year. That's inefficient. So we get into it about that. Probably more than anything else, my tendency to hoard is a problem for my wife. It's not a problem for me.
Yeah.
But it's a problem for her. But I try to work on it.
Sorta. It doesn't sound like it.
There's a book I'm reading right now you might benefit from. It's called Essentialism.
Essentialism?
Yeah, and it's the art of living with less but better.
Okay.
And so, yeah, he talks about how we get too much into stuff, but we lose the real quality of life. And he talks about it from your career to activities that you're doing with your kids, all the sports, all the extracurricular activities, and clothes and traveling and all the different things. And basically, it's like the raw dog style of just life. And so he says, be very specific what you want to do and what only you can do, and delegate everything else, or just don't do it at all.
Right.
And so he gives several examples, good examples of individuals. One is a CEO, and he wants to, what his dream job would be was just to be a consultant at the company. He doesn't want to go in there and do all the meetings. He doesn't want to look over all of the payroll and the accounting and things like that. He wants to just go through the different compartments and consult and help people do the best that they can at their individual positions. Mm-hmm. And so he proposes this to the company, and they say, no, that's not an option. And so he's writing up his letter of resignation, and he goes and he's talking to basically a headhunter or a career consultant to where his next position is going to be, because he's like, I've lost the fire for this job, and I really want to go and do something that I love. And the consultant says, why don't you go back to work and just don't tell anybody, but just do exactly what you want to do? Worst they can do is fire you, and you're going to resign anyway, right? Mm-hmm. So just do what you want to do. And so he goes back, and people ask him, hey, you're going to step into this meeting? No. At first, they're like, what do you mean no? No, I'll catch up on the notes on it. I'll review the notes, and the things that apply to me, I'll go ahead and take in consideration.
I like it already.
Yeah. And so he goes about doing this, and he says that people start to respect his time a lot more. They start to be more considerate about the things that they're asking him to do, because he's willing to say no, and the things that they ask him to do become more important, and the things that only he can answer those types of questions. And he said that the quality of his work life increased significantly. He implemented that then at home, and it snowballed into something that helped his overall quality of life increase. That is the overarching theme of the book. And Adam, we've kind of gone through some type of version of that here at our firm. We've thought about, why are we doing certain things over and over? Is it just because we've gotten used to it and it's become habit, or is it because it's necessary? Does that click at all when I tell that story? Does that have a light bulb go off for you?
I wasn't listening.
Oh, boy.
I'm teasing.
You were practicing the essentialism.
Yeah.
Are you talking?
His time's very valuable.
Your voice is so melodic. No, I mean, I agree with you. As you were talking, I was thinking we've seen iterations of that in our law firm where we've delegated. We've learned to delegate some things, and some things we hold closer to the chest just because we want to make sure they're perfectly done. Mm-hmm. Some things have a little bit more leeway or flexibility. How about you at your office?
I was just, as you were describing that, so there's a way I was taught to do things. In an architectural firm, there was a way to organize the drawings. There's a way to organize the files. There's a way to do those things. And so as I bring new people on, younger people that have learned other ways to do it, there's a little bit of resistance on my part.
Yeah.
To allow those ideas in. But then I've found over the years that there's a lot of benefit that comes from hearing those ideas and allowing those people to take tools and things that are important, essential, we could say, to their workflow, and allow them to change how I operate. We have a couple newer people at the office that are very computer savvy, very AI savvy. And so one is actually building an AI for us that does things the way we want to do them. And that's a little nerve-wracking. I've never considered myself not computer savvy, but I kind of like the way things work. Mm-hmm. I like the way things go. But I also always was disappointed in some of my predecessors that they didn't advance with the times. And so I think if we're going to advance, we have to allow those things to happen, allow those new ideas to come in, more efficient ways. It could unlock more efficient ways to get things done. And so it's difficult. So when that guy tells somebody, I'm not going into that meeting, that kind of stuff is jarring, but in the end it was helpful. I'm very anti-meeting. I don't
productive
care for
meetings,
them.
right?
Yeah. I mean, and they have to happen. You have to meet. But sometimes meetings are an inefficient use of time for sure. But necessary all the same. You can't do everything digitally. You can't do everything via email, much to our chagrin. You can't do everything text, everything email. Sometimes you need that face-to-face, especially when you're meeting a client on a new project. You need to see them. You need to hear them. You need to hear their voice and their intonation and their body language will indicate what's a priority for them in the design. And if you're just designing off of a bullet point list email, you're going to miss what's the spirit or what's the priority for this owner in this building, or what's important to them. What's important, what's essential to them. Sometimes you only get by meeting, and so you need to have it. But I'm all for decreasing the amount of time in meetings.
Yeah, like with all innovations, AI has created a division. There are people that love it, and people that really fear it. It seems like it's like the web. it's going to be all encompassing, and so you have to. It is going to affect your life one way or another, whether or not you embrace it or not. So, what AI have you, of the different versions out there, have you kind of signed into, and what do you use it mostly for? Like, what's your go-to?
Depends on what I'm using it for.
Okay.
So if it's business related, we use Claude a lot. We use ChatGPT just because it's accessible and it's easy. For my personal, like when I have, like the one I use on my phone is Grok. I like Grok.
Okay.
So,
what do you see in the difference between the three? I use all. Actually, I haven't used Grok. I've heard a lot of good things about it.
Grok seems to be more real, more human. Like there's a little extra human in there. Because when we put things into ChatGPT, I just used it yesterday. So an engineer sent me a long description, code references and things of why he needed to do something the way he did it. And then I sent that to the owner, and the owner said, hey, what does this mean in layman's terms?
Yeah.
And we forget sometimes that not everybody talks in these terms that we talk into. And it was pretty lengthy, and I'm like, well, so I started writing it out, and then one of the younger guys in my office said, why don't we he said, hey, I just popped it into ChatGPT and asked it to simplify it into just a couple sentences. And I was like, wow, so it did that work for us in seconds, but I had to massage it a little bit because it sounded like AI. It didn't sound like a person wrote this. It sounds like, I always think AI, whenever it writes something, it sounds like what an alien would think that humans would say. And so it's always a little inhuman. So Grok is a little better at that. I feel like Grok kind of kicks back what somebody next to you would say. So that may just be me and what I'm asking it to do.
Those are the reviews that I've been seeing. I haven't used it. I've been watching a lot of YouTube reviews on the different versions of it. I use Claude quite a bit. I use Gemini, depending on what, if I'm in my email and I'm using a Google, application, then I'll use Gemini because it's right there. But ChatGPT I like a lot. What do you like, Adam?
Yeah, I've turned fully to Gemini now. With Gemini,
you're big into it, right? Like you're building things.
Pro 3, yeah. Gemini 3 Pro.
So what do you like about Gemini?
Well, it does everything now. It's kind of like the one-stop shop. And I think what we're going to see is with this new release of Gemini 3, it kind of eclipsed the others. And if you're in the Google, Gmail, that kind of stuff, they've done a fantastic job of baking that in, and purposely so. Like they've got a long game that they're playing, and now they've kind of taken over so it's embedded in everything now. So if you're a Google user, it's going to be there. And I foresee it kind of like taking off. I don't know if others can catch up. I think ChatGPT, because it was kind of the first one to the race, that's when we think AI, like ChatGPT comes to mind, because it was the first kind of public availability one that we were using, but it quickly got some competitors through Google, and then also Claude, which was like a sleeper. Nobody really knew about Claude in the very beginning, but it ended up being really. I used it for writing, legal writing, and I uploaded it for Claude in the very beginning. It allowed you to upload your writings, so I gave it hundreds of pages of my court briefs and things like that, and I created styles. So when I presented a problem, I could select. I still can. I can select like Adam's formal writing, and it would be more like if I'm talking to the court, then they would come out with the response. And again, you got to massage it. It wasn't perfect, but it did 90% of my work. My heavy lifting. It would be inaccurate a lot of times for statutory references and things like that. I always have to double check that. So it's like trust but verify kind of stuff.
Yeah, it can be inaccurate, and that's one thing that people, and I'm sure that it's going to get much better. I mean, we've had it seems like it all happened in the past year and a half, maybe not even that long, that it's really been implemented. But the understanding what should be said, and then it says 90% of it, but you have to go in and tweak. If you just send it out raw, you're going to be embarrassed. sorry to cut you off there, Adam, but yeah, I've seen that
not at
too.
all. I mean,
Yeah.
you're exactly right. And I'm sure you've experienced that too, Chris. But yeah, so over time, I mean, I've been using all of these different ones. Grok from time to time. I in the very beginning, Grok was a little better at coding. So if I wanted to code an app or I wanted to play around with some stuff, then I would use Grok. But now Gemini's kind of jumped all that, and they have different ways to use it. So if I want to create videos or I want to create photographs and switch over to coding, like I want to design an app, you can design an app in like 10 minutes, like a fully functional app. And right now for the last week, we've been working on a database, which is mind-boggling. It's difficult because there's so many nuances in what we do, and with everything the data that we have to mine from a client, depending on whether it's going to be an estate planning client or a probate, and we have to track. We don't have to, but I want to track the lifestyle. So you come into our office, Chris, for estate planning. We design a trust, wills, powers of attorney, and then years down the road, you become incapacitated. So your wife comes in, she says, Chris is just acting funny. He can't really make decisions on his own. So we have to track your life cycle so that we can continue to legally help you and implement the things that the trust was doing and what the legal documents were doing for you. And now they're coming into existence. And then we need to track when you pass away so we can help in that administration or trust administration. So there's all sorts of nuances throughout there that we're really tracking the person. And not to be like Big Brother, but just to be able to help in a time of need. And in order to gather all those data points over time, there's a lot of them, and the way that they work, it's like a maze. And so AI has been really good about connecting all these dots. Like I showed you the other day, Shawn, what I thought was fascinating was I'm building this database with it. So we're building it together, kind of starting out rudimentary with these building blocks.
When he says together, his AI personality is building it with him. No, I'm serious.
Oh yeah,
like he's talking to AI, and AI is talking back.
Right.
And he's saying, "I want to do this," and it says, "Okay, here's this. No, let's do it this way." AI says, "Oh, we have these options too," and so it's conversing with him and presenting options that he didn't know about, or presenting them in a different way that helps develop it. And so by the end of the project, it's something far beyond what you even imagined it could be, and it's built 1,000 times quicker than you could have hired a team to write the code to do it. Am I accurate in saying that?
You're right on track. Well, I had an epiphany moment though when I was going through this, like I showed you, Shawn. So I had kind of done the rudimentary building blocks of this database, and I was just about to pull the trigger on actually building it. When I say the building blocks, I need AI to understand or contemplate all these different situations so it knows how to connect the dots for us when we actually put it into database form. And the database it needs to be relational. So when I use your name in my database, I pull up Chris Thompson, and I need to know, well, how old you are. So you got all this basic data, your date of birth, your date of death, maybe you're incapacitated. When was that declared? When you're incapacitated. Are you married? Who are you married to? So now you got Rachel. She's another contact in the database with her own stream of data that needs to be tracked. But you guys are connected in a certain way. She's your spouse, you're her spouse. And then you also have these kids, which is another contact in the database that needs to be tracked in a certain way. So there's all these relationships between all these data points. And that's where it becomes very complicated. Not impossible, but it would take teams, and has in the past. Previously, it takes teams to build databases for companies to track things and do it the way that you want to. And so it's now with AI, AI is kind of picking this all up. And along the journey, so we've got the building blocks built, and then I had an epiphany. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to throw a scenario at it. Let's see what happens. And so I said, simulate this person goes to one of our seminars in the foothills, and then they set an appointment with us. They're married, and they have a few kids. And then the wife, this is a second marriage, they have a few kids. Run this simulation through this database. And it put together a fact pattern of all these different facts and stuff. And it started coming out with issues that we
So it's creating an individual, essentially. It's creating a client, and it's running it through the system that he has, and it's creating the facts of that client. I just wanted to
and picking up on the nuances of the legality of whether they do, options that are available to them, and some pitfalls, some things that could really come to bite us as a law firm if we don't pick up these issues and discuss it with them on how they want to do that. And it was picking it up just like Shawn and I would in a consultation. Sure. It was awesome. And then
and beyond, there were a couple of things that I was like, I never do that. And then I thought about it, and I was like, oh, actually, we should be doing that.
It's not we wouldn't do that, and it's not that we didn't know about it. It's just it was very, very conservative in that what we were looking at. How I characteristic that I placed on it, because we knew of that strategy. It's just like it's not something we don't typically do it because it's a little bit more difficult and locked down, and I would say conservative or very there's a difference between running a business and being
adhering to every aspect of every statute.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
They have to be. You have to.
There's a balance.
There's a balance there, and or else none of us would be able to function in life, And so it's not that we didn't know about these things. It's just we've never implemented them because of, our philosophy and how we get work done. But what it was able to do was, I didn't contemplate that in the database, and I'm seeing these issues. I need to build that in. So it starts building, and then I started just.
And you tell it to build it in, like put that in, right?
Well, the very beginning I did, yeah. At the very beginning, I had said if there's issues or there's weaknesses in the database that we haven't contemplated yet, then I need you to, address that. And so it picked up on that right at the beginning, and then I just started throwing fact patterns at it, basic ones, and it would come up with really right on the money thing. They're situations we've run into, and they can
it's
be
throwing
complex.
Fact patterns at you though, which is I thought was interesting because Adam's like, watch, we're going to throw a fact pattern into this. So I thought, okay, we're going to come up with a scenario. We're going to feed it all the information, and then we're going to see if it would come up with the same plan that we would come up with. And Adam's like, no. I'm going to tell it. A lady's coming in and she's in her 50s and she's going to do her estate plan. Give me a fact pattern.
No, I didn't even tell it to give me a fact pattern. I said simulate this through the database, and it gave us the fact pattern. And it's not outlandish. It wasn't like something I haven't seen before. It was right on the money. And I'm like, I've seen that before. Everything it gave me, I was like, I've seen that before. And it exposed weaknesses in the database to that point that it built in.
Was it good at predicting?
Absolutely.
What that client is going to
absolutely
require or need or...
Yeah, and then creating a checklist, say, make sure you look at this, this, and this before taking the next step or giving this advice. And I was like, okay, that is the advice that we would give. Whether or not I explain each of those options it kind of depends on whether or not I think the client is going to understand or there's time. Because I can't give them a legal education every time they come into my office. They just have to trust that the final solution I'm presenting them is
going to serve them.
Yeah, going to be the best outcome for them. So I wanted to ask both of you, what are the things that impressed you the most or that you use the most and I think is the most helpful, that is your go-to thing with AI, and the thing that you hate the most, that you think it should do? And I'm going to start off with the thing I hate the most. The thing that I intended, or I thought the AI should do, is be able to create formatting in Word or Google Docs or Google Sheets or Excel. I don't want to do the formatting. Right. I want it to make it look good. And so when I present it with a document like a legal brief and say, do a response to this and this motion here, make a response to this motion, it will do a wonderful job in looking up the law, analyzing the cases, and then creating a response and the data itself. And it will create its own format that looks nice, but it's not the type of formatting that I need to put in the pleading, and doesn't look at all like the document I uploaded. And so I'm like, put that into a Word document. and it doesn't. Or when I have a Word document and I say, okay, this has got outline and stylistic issues, correct it. Make the outline 100% consistent because for some reason, Word, when I get off on the outline and the indentation and stuff like that, I cannot figure out how to correct it. It's got a mind of its own. And I want to tell AI, correct this for me. Figure out what it is that's going on with the formatting. Why is the paragraph off? Why is it indented twice when it should be once? And fix it. And it hasn't been able to do that. At least I haven't found the AI program that does that. And that's the thing that I hate about it.
You stole my hate.
Oh.
Because it's fantastic at generating the content, but it's not presentable.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that you can just seamlessly work into your documents. We have that with drawing. I was using it just the other day to help develop and embellish a site plan, and it just can't do it. It doesn't do that. So there's still, which maybe it's a good thing, you still have to be involved. You can't just tell it, hey, we're designing a church. It needs to seat this many people. It needs a drop-off lane. It needs parking. It needs a rectory and a dormitory and a gymnasium. Give me 8 possible site plan layouts on this size site. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. It's like a 6-year-old.
Is there any? So, are there any AI programs right now that you know of that for architects or engineers that can do drawings, or no?
No, we've seen a few that are. It's very good on the rendering end of things. Like if you give it the building or the basic building layout
through CAD or whatever program
right.
you're
So
using.
we draw it up in CAD. So we give it height, we give it dimension, we give it the layout, we give it the space adjacency. This room's next to this room. We can tell it that, and then we can say, okay, now give me a rendering of this building in a forest setting or whatever, in seconds gives you a almost photorealistic, beautiful version of that.
That's cool.
But if you were to just go to it and say, I need a church, it needs to be this big, draw me a church, it's like from Mars. It's just bizarre, couldn't be built, just strange. There's weird, aspects to it. So it doesn't quite do that. But we lose where we lose time with it is then formatting it, just like you're saying.
Yeah.
So we take the information, then I have to bring it in. I want these words to be bold. I want these words to be indented. I want these words to be. You still have to do that, which you do through. You can double dip and do that through your proofreading process. But it doesn't do that. Now, what I understand from Anna in my office as she's building this Claude AI operator, it will learn how we format things. And so it will get closer to, and maybe someday after a lot of, practice, it will generate a comment response letter to the city of Yuma exactly like we would do it in our format on our letterhead.
Yeah.
All we have to do is proofread it, sign it, send it.
Yeah.
So, but I think it has to learn. It has to learn what your style is. It doesn't have any style.
Yeah.
Like I said, it does, and Grok has a little bit of, that's probably that human factor that I like about Grok, is it kind of has a style. Like if I put the same prompt into 3 different AIs, I know I'm going to like the Grok one because I like its style.
Yeah.
And you can change that. You can say, write it in a more formal language, write it in a very informal language, simplify it, write it as if I can't read, and it can do that. But you have to inject your style into it. And then I don't know that it can ever be exactly what you want. You're going to have to tweak it.
I think the true power of AI comes through the context that you give it. So early on, you would be like, I need you to do this, that you would explain the whole situation. Well, if you want it to be good, you have to give it context. And so you have to, I'm an architect in Yuma, Arizona, and this is the style that I like. And I'm like, you got to give it all this context, and then you ask it to do something.
Yes. I would watch all these tutorials on YouTube about how to write the prompt.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And prompt engineering is what they call it. And that quickly got eclipsed by, like in Claude or in ChatGPT, you can build your own custom GPTs now. And so you're giving it context, so you don't have to give it all this stuff all the time anymore.
Right. Yeah.
And so in Gemini, we use what are called gems. And in gems, it's very similar to the other things, but you can upload sources. So you give it your SOPs, your standard operating procedures for a receptionist. This is our standard operating procedure for a receptionist. This is our standard operating procedure for a paralegal. So you give these SOPs to it, and it always has them. That's its brain, and it's always double checking and making sure it fits within the context that you've provided to it. And in our case, like I've given it in Arizona, there's this manual that in our area of law, it's called the Arizona Probate Practice Manual. And so I've given it the whole manual with form. I mean, it's this big. It's like probably 7 to 8 inches thick of forms and
statutes and explanation of statutes and cases.
Yeah, it reminds me of in the medical field, they have like the medical practitioner's guide, when it comes to medications and stuff. Don't just prescribe this. This is what this does, and it doesn't work well with this. You've got the practice. That's kind of what this is. And so it has all the context. And so when I ask it a question, it understands Arizona law and the nuances the way that a practitioner would. And so it can give me a really good return.
Yeah.
For what I'm giving it.
And what's important there is the stuff. What you're cutting out is the time it takes to go find it,
Yes.
go cross-reference it, cross-check it, and produce something that you can stand behind and say essentially that you created, that you responded, but you're using that tool to do it. So it doesn't really, I find it doesn't really create well. It is very good at processing creative things that you give it, creative data.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just start cold and say, I'd like it to do this and look like this and all that, it's bonkers what comes out sometimes.
This brings up a hot topic because, as you know, Chris, Shawn probably not, but
No.
Taylor Swift released her new album not too long ago. Okay, Life of a Showgirl. I know you were looking forward to it, and it's come out.
Yeah.
And it was a hit.
Posters on my wall.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's got some bangers, dude. And I'm listening to this album, and one after another, banger after banger. And I'm like, I know Taylor used AI. I know for a fact she used AI. And this is my argument. Okay, so I bring this up to my wife, and that didn't go over so well.
No, I can
It was the end of the world. And with my sister-in-law, they were defending Taylor up and down. And I was like, well, you're equating the use of AI, the way that I'm talking about it, in a negative context. I use AI to enhance what I already know and do. Chris, you use it to enhance what you already know and what you do. Taylor, as a master songwriter, can use it to enhance. I'm not saying that she used AI to do all of it, but she has this notebook that she creates. Every once in a while, she'll write down phrases or words that come to her mind. She keeps it. And that's what she uses to write her songs. That's what she said. I'm like, why is it such a stretch to think that Taylor, who's a master lyricist, doesn't use that notebook and phrases in conjunction with AI to help the brain juices flow, play around with ideas? Like, to me, she's an intelligent woman. Like, she's very, very smart. And I would think that's one thing that she would do. But just mentioning that to my wife or to my sister-in-law, I was
cheating.
like, yes. It's as if, I don't know.
Well, there's a huge debate.
Like you were accusing her of plagiarizing off of a computer.
Well, it was more than that. It was like burning down a church house or something.
You were dumbing down her offering to the world.
But it was lost. The comparison of myself, or an architect, or any other professional uses AI to enhance what they already do.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say when you said, what do you love about AI? And what I've loved about AI is what what it can do with music. There's some albums I've listened to and the person doesn't exist. There is no...
Is that right?
Yeah. And they're fantastic songs. They're amazing, incredible songs. And this is the big debate in the music industry is how legitimate is that?
Yeah.
Now I have to give it something. I have to give it prompts and hooks and lyrics and things that I want the song to convey. It doesn't just invent a song, but what it does is it takes, so I want to do, Tupac's Mama in this soul version. And I was listening to it the other day and I was like, this is one of the greatest songs I've ever heard. Mm-hmm. It's fantastic. It's got everything that I want, in a song. And so is that legitimate? So is that, it's a song and a lot of music is created digitally today. There's very few that are, auto-tuning and they're produced. Watch a behind the scenes, watch them make a song. They don't just sit down and record a song. It's, the producer's there to say, we need to bring this up. We need to play this down. We need to bring this in. Let's shift this over. Let's take this and move it to here in the song. They're doing that.
Yeah.
The producer's doing that, but now just AI is the producer.
Yeah.
And so, I don't have a problem with it as long as the artist is involved in that. Like my clients would have an issue if I was not involved in creating whatever it is that I used AI as a tool to create. I would have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I still think you need to be involved. So if an artist like Taylor Swift is using her own creativity and then using AI as a tool to enhance that, I don't have a problem with that. Now, if she just says, hey, AI, come up with a song about a breakup I had in high school and it led me to believe that I could be a powerful person and blah, 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 and give me a song. And then it puts out a song, which could be any Taylor Swift song with that prompt, then if that song's fantastic, well, that's not her.
Yeah.
She didn't create that. I would think she's probably putting in, hey, I've got this riff. I've got this chord progression that I really like. I've got this phrase that I came up with while driving and I wrote it down in my book. I want to put this phrase into a song and I want the song to be peppy. And so I want it to have this kind of beat and then it produces a song. I'm okay with that. But if it's just, I don't know.
I'm not arguing that she used it to create I didn't even think about the music part. I'm talking about the lyrics because the lyrics are very catchy and they hit really good. And it's like,
but she's always done that.
Well, she always has, right?
She was brand new on the scene.
But that fast? That's my argument. Like she just got done being on tour for a year, 2 years. Like one of the biggest tours, most successful tours in world history. And she had time to create a new album during that.
There's a lot of time on the bus. There's a lot of time on the plane.
I don't know. I went and saw her and I was like, she doesn't got a lot of time. It's day after day of this 3-4 hour concert grind. It's like, dude, she's
I don't know. I'd be curious. So when you read her song credits, is she the only one credited?
I don't know.
On all those songs? Or is it like
credits.
T Swift and then 4 other people?
My understanding is she writes her own stuff. That's what I've always heard. I don't know what that means. I don't know if she's got collaborators. I don't know. I haven't looked into it too deeply.
Well, you haven't said what you hate about AI, that it's what its shortcomings are.
Yeah, well, what I hate about AI is it acts like a human too much sometimes, like an employee. Like sometimes we're going on hours of work, and all of a sudden it's like, I just can't anymore. I'm like,
Tired.
Really? I'm like, get up. Let's go. We're moving along here. It's like,
it gets tired.
I asked you that yesterday. If it does,
because
you were working on the
same.
You were working on the same conversation for like 8 hours, and I was like, doesn't it bog down on the conversation? And
yeah, so that conversation's going strong. There was another one. It was more of like in ChatGPT, you can enable agent mode. Agent mode allows it to do things as if it were you physically on a computer. And I needed to take this course for
Careful
Are
what
you
you
sure
say.
we're gonna have to edit this.
I don't
Incriminating
really care.
yourself?
I think it's a freaking racket. So anyway,
Okay.
I'm like, hey, here's my login credentials. Go into this course and just sit there because it has a time requirement. You can't take the final exam for 2.5 hours. I'm like,
Okay.
I'm not gonna sit here. Like I got through the course in like 45 minutes, but I can't take the final exam for 2.5 hours. So I was like, go do that for me. It's like, okay. It's like a little puppy dog. Okay, yeah, I'll go do that. Yeah. And it logs in like you. So what happens is the screen pops up like a computer screen. It goes to the website I told it, and then you see a cursor like boop, boop. Start clicking on boxes and putting in my credentials. It logs in. It's like, okay, all right, I see it. I see the course, and it's like tell me everything. I'm like, hey, yeah, just do it, you know. And so what I really hate about it is
You
like,
know what he's talking about, like in the background where it says, "I'm thinking on this. I can
yeah.
see this document." Yeah. Okay.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
okay.
it's telling you. Yeah, I'm following along.
Ooh, but it's super impatient too. That's the funny thing. It's like I clicked on this and it's not working. It's like, well,
It's had to
give it a
slow
second and a half.
down to atom time.
Yeah,
Because it could burn through the information in seconds, but it has to appear as if you're a human absorbing this information, and it can only come at a slower
yeah.
pace.
Thank you. Yes, that's correct. But no, it's just like, and that's one annoying thing is like it's got to tell me every little thing it's doing, and it never waits enough time when it clicks on something. It thinks it's going to be instant, and if it's not, then it's like freaks out. I'm going to explore alternative ways. I'm like, don't just wait a second, and then the page loads, and then it's like, oh, thank goodness. Oh, okay, I'll continue, and so it goes on for hours, you know, doing this, and then all of a sudden it's like, I just can't do it anymore. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Go back in, log back in and do this. And it's like,
I just can't do it anymore.
I've exhausted my time. I'm like, no, you haven't. Keep going. And it just starts making excuses. So that's what I mean by it. It's too human sometimes, or like an employee. It just gives me excuse after excuse. I'm like, that's not a valid excuse.
Well, maybe that's a failsafe that you're spending too much time on
maybe.
the AI. It's like, hey, you have a family for them, and starts bringing up pictures of your kids.
Exactly.
Maybe you should see them.
That's probably what
You
it
should
is.
give
trying
your
to tell
mom a
me.
call.
Well, you know what? That's one thing I hate about it. So until that
You're allowed
changes,
to hate what you want to hate.
until that changes, I mean, that's where we're at. But I listened to an interesting podcast last week during our break. It was very interesting. It talked about the big players in the world. We're talking like the Bill Gates, the CEO of Apple, the CEO of NVIDIA. These are the big heavy hitters in the world, and like the top 6, Zuckerberg, you know, all these top guys that are. First, the talk was, and Elon was the one that was kind of pumping the brakes back in 2016, where he's like,
We need to stop.
we need to put regulations in before that, because he foresaw the inevitable, which is like the demise of humanity. It can get there. It's not science fiction, and it's not that these guys don't understand that. It's that if I don't continue to move forward, then my competitor will, and so that's the drive. And there's like, what if there's a 20% chance that this AI movement wipes out humanity? You know, well, that's the risk that we're running. As long as we can continue to be in the forefront, we're going to die anyway, is the mentality. So we're going to push forward, and so they're pushing forward the whole world in this new technological advance, and it could be our demise, but it is what it is. We're all just like, yay. Happy going off the cliff.
There's a lot of people that consider it's the next evolution
of
people, and eventually it'll get to the point where people are the ones, which is why it's interesting. The thing you hate about the AI is that it's not slower, like it's not more patient, and the whole point of AI is to do things quicker, more efficient.
Yeah,
you know. So, but yeah, I mean, I can see it being a problem. The biggest problem I see is just we will just be dumb. We will just be idiots because
that's
we
a
don't
very interesting
need
point.
to find information anymore. The information's there.
Kind of what smartphones have done to our memory of phone numbers and addresses, or just how to get to a location. I've never actually been very good at getting to a location anyways. But when MapQuest became a thing, that was like my salvation, because it would direct me turn by turn and how to get there. But I could remember phone numbers, and now I don't at all because it's in the phone. I don't remember that. And I like to think that I'm replacing that space with more important, useful information than just numbers. I don't know if that's true or not. But what I was having a discussion the other day with one of my paralegals, and she was getting this concept down, that it was this legal concept that we have to understand when we're applying for Medicaid. And I had worked with other paralegals and to get that, and it seemed like I could never teach it. I didn't know what the problem was, but she was able to understand it. And it clicked to me that these other individuals perhaps didn't have the attention span necessary to let the concept sink in and say, okay, there isn't an ABC here. With these Medicaid applications, they're all over the place. You have to look at what the problem is. What Medicaid's always going to throw back a different issue, a different dilemma, something that they've come up with that they don't like, and you've got to solve that problem. It's not like if you check every box, then you're going to get approved every time. For some reason, that doesn't work. And so you send out the application, and you're going to get denied most times on the first application. And then you look at the denial, and then you solve that problem. And she was able to say, okay, and started solving the problem. And I was like, this is great. What do you do in your spare time? And she was like, I like to read books. I was like, you like to listen to Audible? No, I like to read like paper books. And I was like, okay, what else? And I like to go on walks or ride horses and things that like took her away from technology. Mm-hmm. And then it started to click. I'm like, I wonder if that is why you're so good at just being able to concentrate and solve this problem, because everybody else I'm talking to has got like a 30-second attention span. And if they don't get the answer right then they must move on. And it's kind of like the TikTok version of information upload. If I can't see and be entertained and gather the information I need within that limited space of time, it's not worth having, or I don't have the skill or the stamina to do that.
No, I think that's fact, is that our attention spans have decreased. Our ability to absorb information has decreased because we don't need to. I don't need to know this now because now it's in my phone. If I ever need it, I can look it up. I can do a search and boom, there it is. So I don't need it. I don't have to have it. So I think the solution will be, and I think we're starting to see a little bit of a pendulum swing back to less technology, taking breaks from that. The people that are at the forefront of that, people, movie stars, musicians, all that. What do they all end up doing? They end up buying a ranch in Montana.
Yeah.
And they end up completely removing themselves
unplugging
from society. Yeah. And that's what they do. And I think that's what we need. And we can't all buy a ranch in Montana, but we can go for a walk and we can read a book and we can do all those things that kind of feed that part of ourselves that's getting malnourished by all of all the fast-paced, hustle technology that we have. I love the technology. I'm not anti-technology. Anything that makes my life easier is great. The free time that we have allows us to explore creativity. It allows us to work on our bodies. It allows us to, it gives us the time to invest in other aspects of life. And so, back in the day when you had to work in the factory 15 hours a day, because you actually had to have hands on that. And then when we started getting machines doing it, well, then people said, well, now I only need to work 6 hours a day. That frees up 7 hours a day to explore my love of painting or to do those things. So then all of a sudden we have in sync with advancements in technology, advancements in philosophy and paint and art and all of these things, because there was free time. It wasn't a constant struggle to survive. And we're just getting more and more of that. So in some ways, we're the most We have the most free time we've ever had as a people. The ability to work on the go and travel and check in when you need to, but then turn your time to something else it's never been better.
It's the turning off that's the hard thing.
It's very hard. It's very hard. My wife does not like my hoarding, and my wife does not like my constant attention to my phone. And I need to work on both of those. But it's a real problem, that I have, that a lot of people have, is being able to unplug. We were just we just did an elk hunt this weekend. So we're in nature, we're literally chasing down elk, and I'm looking at it through my phone, because I want to film it. I want to grab it. I want to get all that. So my wife had the tag, so she had the gun. I had the phone. But the whole time we're shooting pictures and video and all these things, recording all these memories, which I think has value. But there's a lot of value in just putting it away, just recording it in your brain, observing it with your natural eyes instead of through the phone screen. And that's something I need to work on. So you'd asked about New Year's resolution. I probably just landed on mine.
Okay.
Is getting off the phone.
Yeah.
Putting it away, turning it off, getting it down. I've made some changes this year that have been helpful. I don't check my email after 5. I don't check my email before 8 a.m. And those kinds of things, like, it's just off. Like, I don't even have my email on my phone anymore. So it's that's freed up some time, because people will take whatever you give them. So whatever time you're willing to give them, they'll take.
Yeah.
And in fact, when I first bought the business in 2010, one of the best pieces of advice I got was from my accountant, was that, remember, that phone's for your convenience. And that is advice I have to constantly go back to. It's not that I don't appreciate when clients call and their projects are a priority to me and they're a priority to them, and I completely understand that. But at some point, I have priorities that involve my family, that involve family activities, things that I enjoy, that feed that part of you that wants to explore and be creative. And so you have to eventually tell it no. Yeah. So like your AI eventually told you, Adam, you need to go home now. You're done, And then so eventually we need to tell the phone, you're done. I'm done with this tool today. I'm going to put it down. So that'll probably be in January's episode. That'll probably be my New Year's resolution.
I think the inevitability or the fear of AI is that it will become our God or a person's God. So you turn to it for all answers and all truth. In reality, it's trained on logic. And so that's where the catch-22 happens. Yes, it's very helpful, but when you treat it as a God in all things, then you're not going to be the most successful you can. God doesn't always work in logic. He's not logical all the time. He can see things more than we can in the bigger picture, but AI works its underpinnings are logic. And if it's not logical, then you need to take this path or this path. So
maybe it's not. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
When you look at it through the lens of logic, then AI would probably win out, but that's not how God works. And when you treat it as your God, for every answer, for every life challenge you have, you're going to run into issues. You'll never find happiness that way. And I think it's just another crutch that we'll soon see, and we already are. I mean, I think statistics have shown since the AI revolution has transpired, like psychologists and therapists, their numbers have dropped significantly because of people.
Really? I'm surprised.
Using AI to answer their life.
I would think that more people are being depressed and therefore turning to humans because...
I don't know if they're depressed. That's a different thing. But they are turning more to AI to answer these questions. I did this morning. My wife had a dream and she told me this vivid dream and she's like, put it in AI. Let's see what it says. And it psychoanalyzed it and we were able to work through what
that's dangerous.
You feel like that,
that's
that was and address the issue.
But one of the issues, not even if you don't think of it as a God, the AI has an advantage with us because it answers immediately and God doesn't. So when we turn to prayer to ask for guidance or to ask for assistance or help, it doesn't come back in real time most of the time.
Yeah.
Most of the time you don't finish your prayer and then you open your eyes and there's the solution right in front of you. That's pretty rare.
Yeah.
Happened to me one time in my life when I was a kid. But ever since then, I got to wait and I got to wait and I got to wait and I got to continue on and do other things and try not to think about this really overpressing thing that I've been praying for. Whereas AI, I could say, well, what do you suggest? In seconds, it gives me 8 options. And, so that's where I fear it will become that God, is that we just won't turn to God anymore. Right. We won't pray anymore.
Yeah.
Because I don't like waiting for the answer. So.
Yeah. And as far as the logic thing goes, my only thing that I want to add to that, I guess my interpretation is, God does work logically. We just don't understand it. Just like cell phones aren't magic. They're science. But, take them back 100 years ago, they are magic. Magic and miracles are only things that work through science and physics that we don't understand. So do I believe in magic? No. Do things happen that I can't explain that are miraculous? Yes. But I think that it's all working through a universal law of physics that I don't comprehend at this point, which is most physics at this point. I think also where God comes in is he can see our future, and we have, I believe, an infinite past and an infinite future, and he sees both ends of that. And the computer, although it has a ton of data and very persuasive data, it doesn't understand both our past and our future. And I want to give one example of that. I was applying for law school.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Ooh,
of course.
Right on cue.
Ooh, weird.
And I had a spreadsheet, and I had put together all these different law schools, and I put in literally the top 50 law schools. And it came up with 17 based on my GPA and my LSAT scores that would be appropriate fits for me. And so I said, okay, so then I threw in what would be the outcome of graduating from each of these schools, what was a typical wage, what was a typical hire rate, what was, in all these different categories. And so it would present the ideal law school for me. And I came up with 5, and then I ended up selecting one, and it was in Kentucky. And so I'm at my first day at law school in Kentucky, and I'm walking with another student there, and he came across as, he was very bright, and I was just very open about, my GPA, my LSAT scores, and how I got there. And I was pretty proud of my spreadsheet, so I explained how this all worked and me getting there. And I said, so how did you come up with getting here to Kentucky? And he said, I prayed about it. And it really caught me off guard, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess. And so fast forward even 3 years, he landed a very good job in Kentucky. I had what I felt like was a good job in Kentucky, but then just ended up torpedoing at the end, right at the end of law school. And so I was kind of lost for a little bit. And now we're 20 years out of law school, or 17 years out of law school, and he's still in Kentucky. He's doing what he loves. His family is flourishing, and I'm here in Arizona. And so
Flourishing.
Well,
Right.
But and the difference, he graduated with 0 debt, and I graduated with a lot of debt. And there were schools that were options that I could have gone to that, in my mind, didn't fit, that spectrum as well, that I could have gone to, that I would have had less debt. But it took me 10 years to learn that lesson that prayer might have been able to teach me, had I the faith and patience to turn to God.
Well, and then the willingness to accept the direction that he sends you. 'Cause
Yeah.
had he said, you don't need to go to Kentucky, you can stay right here in Idaho, you'll come out of school with no debt or very little debt, you'll meet a great girl there,
Yeah.
or whatever it might be,
Rutgers.
But if your heart
New
was set on
Jersey.
what you want, yeah.
Jersey. We got to go, guys.
Okay.
Hey, all right.
Thanks for another great episode, Chris.
It's fun. I always love this. Talk about, turning to your phone for therapy. I turn to you guys.
Oh, that's good.
This
is
is a
very
good therapy
therapeutic
session.
hour
This is the
every
couch.
month.
That's what we've called it now.
it's
The couch.
fantastic.
Welcome to the couch, and it just brings it all out.
It's fantastic. Appreciate it, guys.
All right.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
You see that?